Alright, welcome to part 3 of data analysis with Excel. Now in this tutorial, we will be looking at sorting options inside of Excel. So what we are going to be doing is we will be focusing our attention on sorting. Remember what I said in the last tutorial. If you haven't watched that video, I will suggest you skip this video, go back to the last video and watch it again so you understand what we talk about sorting. So we'll be focusing on sorting and looking at all the sorting options that Excel has to offer. So we are just going to focus on sorting, and sorting our data. Now, the first thing we talked about was the filters, and we see using filters we are doing more of a conditional selection, selecting data given that a certain condition is met. That was what we talked about, and we looked at the sum of gross revenue for movies produced in the USA. That's fine. That was good. Now what we are going to look at today is more sorting tools. Now let's set our view in a way it's going to be beneficial. Let's grab the gross revenue and the budget. Cool. Gross revenue and budget. Now let's look at more ways to filter, because in the grand reality of all things, what we are actually doing is filtering. So we filter by, let's include some other parameters, some other field to our filters. Let's include the general. Alright, so you can stack up multiple filters as you wish. Now we have general and country. So let's filter action movies. Now this is where it gets to get interesting. Let's filter action movies. So click on action, right? Movies linked with action. That's what you're going to return. Action movies from the country of, could be any country of your choice, of France. So from the country of France. Cool. Now we get the sum of the gross revenue. Remember, we talked about this in the last tutorial. Again, if you haven't watched that tutorial, go back and watch it before you watch this one. So we talked about sum of gross revenue and the sum of the budget for what? Now we are filtering by what? We are filtering by the action movies in the country of France. Now this is a very nice tool for quick sorting, getting action movies for the country of France. Now, this is not all that we can do. We can do a whole lot of sorting. So you see this drop down button on the row labels, click on it and it opens. So we can sort this by A to Z or Z to A, depends. So by default, we can see it is being sorted from A to Z because Wasabi is W and Assassins is A. So it's sorting the movies from A to Z. Now we can flip this to sort from Z to A, and now Wasabi has moved to the top and Assassins has moved to the bottom. Again, we could flip this any way we want. That's also one of the sorting tools with Excel. Very, very handy. Now, that's not what we're really here for. What we are here for is for the more sort options. Now, we have three major options. We have more sort options, we have label filters, and we have value filters. Our next video will talk about label filters and value filters. But for now, we are dealing with more sort options. So go ahead and click on these more sort options. Cool. Now we've looked at ascending by descending based on title, right? So when we did ascending or descending A to Z based on title. So now we can also set this instead of using just the titles. Remember, title is a field, right? And these are the members of the field called title. Now we could switch the fields. This is where it gets interesting. We could switch the fields. So we can switch to budget, alright? Switch to budget. And we are sorting ascending to descending. Before you click OK on this, pay attention that the hierarchy on the budget, like the row label for budget, the hierarchy is set in such a way that there is no real hierarchy. We are sorting A to Z based off the row labels of the title. So the title that begins with A comes first, and the ones that begins with B goes on, then C, D, E, all the way down to W. But what if we want to place a preference on a different field, say budget? So what will happen is the movies that have the movies with based on, okay, this, let me explain this casually, slow down a bit. So we are starting based on the sum of budget, and we are doing ascending A to Z. So before we look at the A to Z, we will give preference to the budget. So let's look at this 500 plus this. Okay, this should be about 50 million, then 70 million, 28 million. That's cool. So once you say okay, notice the change applies. Now the change has applied. So we are no longer giving preference to the row label of title. We are giving preference to budget. So the highest movie, this is it. 20. Let's expand this bit. Right. So this is 12 million, and the movie starts with the name D, because we are looking at the sorting, because we are sorting A to Z. Pay attention to that. We are sorting A to Z based on the row, or based on the field of budget. So this is what happens. Excel looks at the title of the movies and going A to Z, which of them have the highest budget, right? So going A to Z, the highest budget, the first highest budget was district B13. So it picks that value first, and then it keeps going down. The next budget based on the next budget. So remember, this is where we are. So more sorting options. I need to bring it up again so I can have a visual representation of what we're doing. We are sorting ascending A to Z by the sum of budgets. So this is not giving preference to their names, but rather is giving preference to the value on the budget. So we can flip this to sort Z to A based on the value on the budget field. So if I say OK, now the values with the highest budget has gone to the top. The lowest budget has gone to the bottom. So sorting Z to A, green zone has the highest budget of over how many million? That is about 100 million, I think. So green, because green zone has the highest budget, green zone comes first. District B13 has the lowest budget of 12 million. So that one goes last. So let's do that again. Let's repeat the step one more time. Remember, we are sorting the movies A to Z based on the values on the budget. So if you're sorting like that, when we sort Z to A, movies with the highest budget come first, and then we descend all the way down to the ones with the lowest budget. Or if you're sorting A to Z, movies with the lowest budget comes first, and then we go down, and as we go down, the value increases. So this is it. Let's do that again. Let's do that one more time. More sorting options. Okay, ascending A to Z based on the sum of budgets. So the values with the smallest budget will go to the top. Values with the largest budget will come to the bottom. Alright, observe what's going to happen now and say okay. Now, smallest budget 12 million, 14, 15, 20. They are the ones at the top. Larger budgets have come to the bottom. Now, we can do this same operation for any given field, right? So, more sorting options. We could change this from the sum of budgets to gross revenue. And if we do this, we are not going to give respect to the names of to the title rather, or the field of budget. We are going to sort the movies with the smallest revenue are the ones going to be on top. The movies with the largest revenue, since we are sorting A to Z, are the ones going to be at the bottom. I'll say okay to that. And we have the same thing playing out. Movies, the Renaissance, with the smallest revenue, is the one on the top. And just in case you're not following along, you're lost, pay attention that we are sorting. We set a filter first of all to the genre, right? We brought genre to filters and we brought country to filters. Then we went ahead to filter action, so action, right? And the country we set to France. Set the country to France. So you can see we set the country to France. Now we are now sorting action movies produced in French, right? Produced in France. We didn't include language, so just country. Action movies produced in France. That's what we are sorting. And we are sorting the values given that A to Z. So we are sorting A to Z and the column, sorry, the field of gross revenue. So once you set it like this, the movies with the smallest gross revenues, given we are sorting A to Z, smallest revenue starts from the top and we ascend down to the larger revenues. But if we are doing descending, which is the Z to A, then the movies with the larger revenue, remember we are using the field of revenue, will be sorted from the highest values down to the smallest values. And now we're going to say okay to that. And now you see the larger values are at the top and the smaller values are at the bottom. Pretty easy, pretty basic stuff. Nothing much to crack your head about. Now, we will call it a day for now. Now, in the next tutorial, we will be looking at the value filter. So we've talked about sorting A to Z. We've talked about sorting Z to A. We've come to the more options and setting a different field to sort upon a different field. Now, on the next chapter, we will look at label filters and we will look at value filters. So we've covered a whole lot so far, and I hope you're really following up with these tutorials. Remember, if you have any questions, do comment. Leave your questions in the comments. If you have some suggestions, if you're stuck, if you have any problem whatsoever, leave your questions in the comments and I will attend to those questions personally. And make sure you like this video so that more people can find this useful content, and always make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that whenever I release a video, you're updated. Again, most importantly, leave your questions in the comments because your learning is what I value the most. The fact that you come to this channel, you watch these videos and you learn something at the end of the day, that's what gives value to this channel. That's what gives value to the time we spend. So leave your comments. If you're lost, leave a comment. I will attend to those comments personally. You don't have to wait a long period of time. The moment you leave your comments, give me a couple of hours. I will reach out to you and address those problems. Thank you so much. Keep practicing until the next time we see again.